All right, so we're coming up on about 4 months now since the DJI Neo was released, and this is the holiday season, and a lot of people have been asking me, is this a good drone to get for a beginner flyer, or is it a good drone to get for my kid who just wants to start out learning how to fly drones? Is this, the DJI Neo, a good option for them? And if you just want to know right off the bat, yes, it is a really good drone, especially for kids. And in this video, I'm going to go through some of the main reasons why, if you're getting your first drone, or if you're a kid and looking at getting a drone, you might want to look at the DJI Neo. And for the very first reason we'll talk about is this right here. As you can see, the Neo, super small, compact, weighs 135 grams. And most importantly here, especially for new flyers and for kids, as you can see, we have prop guards all the way, propeller guards all the way around the drone, even little extra cage here at the very top, which is removable, but you have protection. So if you were to come up against a wall, come up against a tree or a fence or a post, at least you know that you have some protection from the propellers here hitting them. If you were to fly something like the DJI Mini or the Air, some of the bigger drones out there, yes, they do sell aftermarket propeller guards for them, but it makes the drone super big. Here we have a tiny little drone, comes in at 135 grams in weight. The size and weight of this drone definitely plays a big part, especially if you are again going to be flying possibly just indoors, practicing around the house, maybe going into your backyard. You have a lot less to worry about, especially if this were to crash or possibly hit somebody. You know that this thing will probably not cause as much damage as some of the bigger drones out there. So when it comes down to a kid or a new flyer taking this out there, we have a lot more safety features here on this drone than we do on some of the other ones. Next, we'll talk about ease of use of this drone. And as you can see here at the very top, we have a button that you're able to choose different snapshots, different quick shots that the drone can perform. And the user doesn't even have to have a remote control. You'll need your mobile phone to change some of the parameters, but you don't necessarily need a mobile phone to even fly this drone. They have some quick shots built into it, and all you have to do is point the drone back to yourself, press and hold it, and it'll perform that specific quick shot that you choose here at the very top. So if you're a beginner flyer or a kid and you're of course not familiar with piloting a drone yet, you can still get some pretty cool dynamic shots just by simply pressing this button here at the top of the Neo. Now, for all the new flyers out there looking at getting this drone, this is coming at 199 bucks, but I would definitely suggest getting the remote control. You're gonna want this right here in order for you to fly the drone at further distances. And when you buy a drone, that's what you're probably going to anticipate or assume you can do, is fly it out pretty far. If you get the drone by itself, you can fly it with the automated features here at the very top. You can also fly it with your mobile phone, but you're only able to get about 50 meters in distance away, which is really not that far. That shorter Wi-Fi connection. When you pair it to a remote control like the RCN3 remote control, you're now able to fly your drone up to 10 kilometers in distance, that distance between your remote control and the Neo. Now, of course, you're never really going to be able to fly that far because of the battery capacity. You're not going to be able to fly that far away and make it back, but at least you know that you have the ability to fly your drone, whether it be a few hundred feet, a couple thousand feet away, you can reliably fly the drone when you're paired to a remote control. Next, we'll talk about affordability. Like I mentioned, the Neo comes in at $199, and when you pair it with the remote control, this remote control, the RCN3, comes in at $129. Now, DJI does have a similar drone. As far as price range goes, they sell the Mini 4K drone, which has very similar as far as specs go to the Neo. However, when we're talking about beginner flyers, you're talking about kids, the safety features on here definitely are a lot better than the Mini 4K. So if people do ask me which one would you recommend getting for a kid, I would definitely recommend probably the Neo over the Mini 4K. Again, mainly because of the prop cards here. Next reason why your kid will really like flying the Neo is because it does have some of these pretty cool follow features, which are also automated here at the very top. You can have the drone actually follow you by just selecting the follow mode at the top, pressing and activating it, and you can have your son or daughter run and the drone will actually follow. I did a bunch of tests with the drone following my kids on their bikes, and it worked really well. And for being such a tiny little drone, these still have the ability to shoot 4K video out of the DJI Neo. Now, the 4K quality on the Neo is pretty good. Of course, there are some better quality cameras that DJI does offer on some of their other drones. But again, if we're talking about a new flyer, beginner flyer, or a kid using a drone, definitely the quality will be good enough for any of those types of users. And finally, the last reason why the DJI Neo is such a good drone for kids is that they have the ability to keep this drone and also move up and experience different types of piloting or different types of ways of flying the drone. Like I mentioned, you can fly this drone with no remote control just by pressing these snapshots here at the very top, do a couple quick shots. You can fly the drone with the remote control, which is probably the best way I recommend you getting if you were to get the Neo. Make sure you pick up at least the DJI RC-N3. But not only that, you are able to pair it with a couple of the DJI FPV goggles, and you can actually fly FPV with the DJI Neo. Now, for those who aren't familiar with FPV, you can basically use these goggles here to see what the drone sees. You're going to need to pick up a different remote control, which is the DJI RC3 or the Motion 3 remote control. But what's great is that the Neo is compatible with the goggles and those remote controls. So if you wanted that FPV experience, you can now go from experiencing an automated flight all the way up to an FPV experience. That's something that even the advanced drones from DJI don't offer. They don't offer you the automated flight modes with no remote control all the way up to the FPV, but the DJI Neo, you are able to do that. And there it is, guys. Just some of the main reasons why I think the DJI Neo definitely is a really good drone, entry-level drone for beginners, for kids. The compatibility with different types of remote controls really allows them to pretty much learn as they go and have just multiple ways of experiencing flight. Now, of course, I have a full review video going through all of the specs, all of the features of the DJI Neo, and I'll make sure that's listed above as well as down below in the video description, as well as a bunch of other videos that talk about sound comparison. Also, how does it compare with the DJI Mini 4K, some of the other drones on the market, also some side-by-side shots so you can see quality-wise how this stacks up against some of their other drones. So if you're looking at getting the DJI Neo or you're just interested in doing a little bit more research on it, I'll leave the full playlist down below in the video description. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Ultra Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.